Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a breaking story that's shaking the international stage. Poland has publicly vowed to intercept and arrest Vladimir Putin's jet if he enters its airspace. Yes, you heard that right. This is not some rumor or social media speculation. This is a direct response from one of NATO's most determined frontline nations. It's a story that combines politics, justice, and a chilling warning to the Kremlin that even heads of state are not untouchable when it comes to war crimes and international law. So, what exactly happened? Let's start with the background. Ever since the International Criminal Court, or ICC, issued a warrant for Vladimir Putin's arrest in 2023 for alleged war crimes in Ukraine, including the illegal deportation of Ukrainian children, many European nations have found themselves facing a difficult question. What happens if Putin sets foot on their territory? Would they actually arrest him, or would politics override justice? Most countries remained quiet, carefully avoiding direct answers. But Poland, as usual, didn't hesitate. Polish officials have made it clear that if Putin's jet, whether it's his official presidential plane or a military aircraft, crosses into Polish airspace, they would act. They've vowed to intercept the aircraft and comply fully with international law, meaning they would be obligated to detain Putin under the ICC's arrest warrant. This is a bold and potentially dangerous stance. Poland is not just any European country. It's a NATO member that shares borders with both Belarus and the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad. Its skies are constantly monitored, and its air force is one of the most active in Eastern Europe. When Warsaw says it will intercept Putin's jet, it's not just political theater. It's a credible, real-world threat with serious consequences. To understand why Poland is taking such a firm position, we need to look at its history and mindset. Poland has long seen itself as the frontline defender of Europe against Russian aggression. Ever since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Poland has been one of Kiev's strongest supporters, sending tanks, weapons, and humanitarian aid while sheltering millions of Ukrainian refugees. The Polish government and people view Russia not only as a military threat, but as a moral one. In this context, the idea of allowing Vladimir Putin to fly freely across Europe, despite being wanted by the ICC, is simply unacceptable to them. Polish officials argue that international justice means nothing if it isn't enforced, and that even powerful leaders should be held accountable for their actions. That's why this statement isn't just about airspace. It's about principle. It's Poland's way of saying that the rules apply to everyone, even to the man sitting in the Kremlin. But let's think about what this would actually mean in practice. If Putin were to fly over Poland, say en route to another country, and Warsaw's military acted on its promise, it could instantly trigger a major diplomatic crisis, possibly even a military one. Intercepting the aircraft of a sitting head of state, especially one like Putin, could be seen as an act of aggression by Moscow. Experts say that if Polish fighter jets were to approach Putin's plane, the situation could escalate within seconds. Russia would almost certainly interpret it as a direct threat, and the Kremlin could respond with everything from diplomatic protests to military countermeasures. Some analysts even warn that this could push NATO and Russia dangerously close to confrontation, especially since Poland's air defense is integrated with NATO's systems. However, Poland's move is not without precedent. Other nations have previously detained or refused entry to leaders accused of international crimes. The difference here is the stakes. Vladimir Putin isn't just any leader. He commands one of the world's largest nuclear arsenals, and his government has repeatedly warned that it views any interference in his travel as hostile. That's why Poland's statement is so significant. It's a direct challenge to Russian power. A message that no one is above international law, even if that person controls nuclear weapons. Of course, Russia reacted with outrage. Moscow's officials called the Polish vow provocative and illegal, claiming it violates diplomatic immunity. Kremlin spokespersons went as far as saying that any attempt to detain Putin would be viewed as an act of war. Russian state media immediately began spinning the narrative, accusing Poland of trying to escalate tensions and serve Western interests. But Poland doesn't seem intimidated. Its leaders argue that diplomatic immunity does not cover war crimes and that the ICC's decision stands above national laws in this case. Polish legal experts and government representatives have reiterated that if the international community wants justice for the atrocities committed in Ukraine, then countries have to be willing to enforce it, no matter who is involved. It's also worth noting that this statement from Poland comes at a time of growing tension in Eastern Europe. Russia has been increasing its military presence near Kaliningrad, conducting joint drills with Belarus, and sending alarming signals across NATO's eastern border. Meanwhile, Poland has been fortifying its defenses, building new military bases, and hosting U.S. troops and Patriot missile systems. In other words, both sides are already on high alert. Now, Poland's vow adds a new layer of confrontation. It's not just about tanks or troops anymore. It's about legal accountability and the symbolism of justice. For years, Russia has operated under the assumption that its leaders could travel freely and be treated with diplomatic respect, even as its military commits crimes in Ukraine. Poland is saying, "Not anymore." This message resonates across Europe. Some countries, like Germany and the Netherlands, have expressed theoretical support for the ICC's warrant, but haven't taken such an open, aggressive stance. Others, like Hungary, have openly said they would not arrest Putin if he came to visit. That's why Poland's declaration stands out. It's putting its credibility, and potentially its security, on the line to prove that justice should not be selective. Public opinion in Poland overwhelmingly supports this view. Many Poles still remember the trauma of Soviet domination and see the war in Ukraine as a continuation of that same struggle. To them, allowing Putin to move freely while Ukrainians suffer would be a betrayal of European values. For Warsaw, this is not just a political issue. It's a moral responsibility, but there's also a strategic angle. By taking such a bold stand, Poland strengthens its position within NATO. It presents itself as the alliance's most committed member in Eastern Europe, a country that doesn't just talk about defending democracy, but acts on it. This boosts Poland's influence within Western military and diplomatic circles and cements its reputation as the bridge between Western Europe and Ukraine. So, what happens next? In reality, Putin is unlikely to test Poland's promise. The Russian president has been avoiding international travel ever since the ICC warrant was issued, limiting his trips mostly to friendly nations like China, Iran, and a handful of African countries that are not part of the ICC. Still, the very idea that his plane might not be safe over Europe sends a powerful signal. It shows how isolated Russia has become and how seriously the world is beginning to take the issue of war crimes. At the same time, this situation reveals something deeper about the current world order. The balance between power and justice has always been fragile. For decades, world leaders could act with near impunity, protected by politics and diplomacy. But the ICC's warrant, and Poland's readiness to enforce it, marks a turning point. It suggests that even the most powerful figures can no longer rely on immunity forever. As this story unfolds, one thing is clear. Poland's warning to intercept and arrest Putin's jet is not just about one flight or one man. It's about the global message it sends, that accountability is catching up with those who commit atrocities, no matter how high their office or how powerful their armies. It's about courage in the face of intimidation and standing firm for justice, even when the cost could be immense. Whether or not Putin ever risks flying near Poland again, the statement alone has already achieved its purpose. It has reminded the world and the Kremlin that there are still nations willing to defend the principles of law and humanity, no matter the consequences. So as tensions continue to rise and the world watches carefully, Poland's vow stands as a bold symbol of resistance against impunity. It's a message to Moscow, and to the rest of the world, that the days of unchecked power might finally be coming to an end. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more updates and analysis on the global issues shaping our future. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more reports like this one, because here, we go beyond the headlines to bring you the real story behind the world's most critical events.